there are a lot of issues to talk about. So the question is, which ones do you pick? There are a number that interest me, like why it is that so many Republicans are afraid that my marriage will threaten theirs, or why Mitt Romney thinks it's a bad thing that the president ended the war in Iraq. But let's stick to the central themes of the economy. So if, in fact, Mitt Romney's private sector experience makes him the superhero of job creation, we would have seen that in Massachusetts. In fact, the record is that during his term, our job growth was only about 1.4%, which was a quarter of the national average. We were, under Mitt Romney, 47th in job growth. Under Mitt Romney, we got no help. Under Mitt Romney, we got no jobs. Now, I was puzzled, and I hear about this, and I wonder, how come, as I now hear about the great ability of this wizard of private sector financial engineering to create jobs, that we didn't get any? And I realize here is the problem. And this is a hard one for me because of my diction, so please listen carefully. It turns out our governor was Mitt Romney. What we should have had as governor was Myth Romney. Myth Romney is a wonderful private sector executive who, when he moves into the public sector, can transform it. I wish Myth Romney had been governor of the state I lived in. If it had been Myth Romney, I'd probably be riding the commuter train from New Bedford to Boston right now. But we had Mitt Romney, and so we had to wait for the great Deval Patrick to get that started. What will any Romney, and you know there were a lot of Romneys. There's the Romney who was going to be better on gay rights than Ted Kennedy. Now there's the Romney who checks with Rick Santorum on that issue. There was the Romney who was for climate change, and now there's the Romney who believes that it's a myth, to coin a phrase. But let's look at what we have from the Mitt Romney who's running for president. He has now basically committed himself to repeat every failed and mistaken policy that the Republican Party employed to bring our country into the greatest recession in years, and which they have followed to try to retard its recovery. And there's a reason for it. For all of the talk about how Mitt Romney understands the private sector, and that clearly is a little bit iffy, he has no understanding whatsoever of the public sector. Of course we want a private sector that is prosperous, that creates jobs. This hall is full of people I know who have been successful in the private sector and do that, and are entrepreneurs and business people. But sensible people also know in a civilized society, you need a public sector to do those things that the private sector isn't meant to do, to deal with the quality of life. There are things that a civilized society needs that we can only do if we do them together.